Hello. Here we are, another episode of Coach2Influence. Not only do I have Lindsay Rios here today with me, but I have four very irate Shih Tzus that are making it clear they don't want me to do this today. Welcome to the latest episode of Coach2Influence. So speaking of influence, I have four dogs right now that have pitch and sold me contract signed on four treats.
Close one.
I'm sure everybody here knows my guest today, Lindsay Rios. If you don't, it's because you don't believe in dancing to sales calls, and you probably eat very, very poorly.
Yeah.
Two things that make Lindsay shine. That's how I found Lindsay. Post one day, song stuck in my head for a week. I literally had to DM the poor girl to find out what the hell I was listening to, and we've become really good friends over time.
Yes.
First and foremost, because she is an amazing seller and has probably forgotten more about coaching sales teams than most sales leaders out there today probably will ever learn. Lindsay, introduce yourself to the gang. Let's have some fun.
Let's have some fun. Lindsay Rios, fractional CRO of Go-to-Market Done Right. And, well, actually, owner of Go-to-Market Done Right and fractional CRO, four companies, and then fractional CRO for Luminetics, which is a social selling platform and go-to-market platform. And I dance on Fridays here. We do dance party Fridays. I tell you what the F's for dinner, because when that's taking up all the space in your brain, when you're trying to work, it can't be as effective. So I make sure we take care of that. And then, once in a while, I actually talk about go-to-market strategy and how I help companies.
Well, when it comes to go-to-market strategy, what I've seen are a lot of players in the game always look at it from the top down. They're looking at the big ticket items. Let's talk about the role that coaching plays in effectively getting to market, getting your product, getting your awareness out there. Would love to learn what's been working for you, the tips and tricks we can share with the dozens, maybe, if I'm lucky, people that might actually see this podcast. All five of them would love to know.
Just listen up. Well, it's interesting. I actually have a post I haven't written out yet, but I had the idea pop in my brain before I was going to bed the other night. So inopportune. And I have a little notion where if I get an idea, I just write it down so that I remember to do something about it later. And it was about this whole thing about, to your point, like everyone's so obsessed nowadays with execution. I'm like, but what about the testing and the coaching and the experimentation? Right? Like I feel like we've gotten away from that a lot. And the good thing about the last couple years, hasn't been a lot, is that we've got a lot away from this growth at all costs kind of like mentality within organizations and gone back to like healthy growth, right? Intentional healthy growth. And what I love about that is that's making space for coaching, right? Focusing and coaching on things that we kind of stopped caring about because we were growing at all costs. Who cares, right? About the coaching. And I think that's evidenced by companies like Dextigo and like other ones that are coming out that are very focused on coaching roles, on doing a great job. And now obviously introducing AI on helping us do it so that it's not reliant upon just our managers.
You had mentioned coaching on things that organizations forget about. What are some of the things that you think are the glaring things that they're forgetting about?
I like to call them the green and red flags. So, whenever I talk about how you build strategy, a lot of organizations, a lot of companies, they just don't know actually how to build a strategy. They know how to make plans. Plans are not strategies. That's how you do the strategy, right? The tactical steps. And then within a strategy, it's obviously tied to a specific goal. That goal has to be for a reason. And then you also need to have what I call the green and red flags built into your strategy to know what are the things that are happening along the way that we're on the right track, right? Keep going. And those are also times where you might double down more or scale more, And then the red flags. What are the things that are going to start happening where you go, we need to either course correct, we need to focus here more, it's not working, improve it, et cetera. And so same goes for when you coach reps. A lot of times, as a sales leader, you have struggling reps. For people who are listening, I'm quotation marking the word struggling. And That's probably just resulting in either how many deals they're creating if they're more on the biz dev side or how much revenue they're closing if they're full sales cycle. But that is such a like lagging metric that doesn't tell the story about what's happening before that. And so what are the green and red flags that you should be knowing along the way to those lagging metrics or the leading metrics, right? Leading, the green and red flags are often leading metrics that people refer to, that we should focus on coaching and we just get away from that. We think more about, oh, well, you need more coaching on closing, or you need more coaching on, just making more pipeline. But you're missing all the things that happened before that are building blocks to even get to that end result.
Makes sense. Where do you see the biggest gaps kids have today? And by kid, I mean any seller under the age of 35.
Right.
If I've been selling longer than you've been alive, you're a kid in sales.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the active listening skill set is lacking a lot. And I think part of that comes from the amount of tools and AI clutter that we get, right? Because there's so many quote unquote enablement options. And I think it's kind of flooding this like active listening skill set that is one of the most important skill sets you'll ever have in sales, period. And so there's a lot, and like frameworks, right? This whole like MedPick and all those other ones where you get taught like, here's a list of the things I'm supposed to ask. So I'll go do it. But that doesn't actually teach you how to actively listen to the conversation to be able to hear something that you need to dig into more, connect dots, like get strategic. So I think that's what I see a lot of more and more is just that lack of active listening ability and focus on it, period. And then the other thing I would say is just there's a whole like tenacity kind of like go above and beyond like aspect that I think again might be affected by how much just like enablement gets thrown at us. Like, and I'm like aware of it myself too. With the use of like, in my everyday, it makes me not want to sit down and write an entire email now sometimes because I have so many things I could just write it for me and then I can tweak it, right? That stops using a certain part of my brain. So like as a mother of a kid who's a seller, and he's a BDR, even when he was looking
Wait a
for
second, your oldest is a BD.
Yeah. I told him not to do it.
Does he work remotely?
Yes.
So he's sitting, oh, poor kid, man. Well, not poor kid. He must be getting great coaching on the spot. Like, never use that line again.
I mean, that was the thing for a while when he was like getting, into the last 6 months of his last year of college. I was just like, don't be a BDR. Anything else, man. Don't follow us, your parents in our footsteps and just go do anything else. But of course, especially these days, like getting a job in today's market as entry level, it's just like so hard as it is. And my best friend, she was just like, being a BDR will be one of the most like useful skill sets though, like ever, And she goes, it'll be good for him to have a job that kind of kicks the crap out of him a little, And I was like, yeah, you're right. Right. I mean, I sold cars for 5 years, nothing like getting the, crap kicked out of you well enough to do well later. So I was like, yeah, you know what? You're right. Because it teaches you so many wonderful things that you can do for any other role that you might do later. So I was like, you're right. That's true. So I kind of got over that. But, as he's going and he's trying to apply for these roles, I mean, he wants to be an SDR in tech. Who could be a better person to help him with that? Right? Like, I don't know.
So does he do the, hey, mom, like, I need a hand here, or is it like, mom?
It was more, it wasn't, it was like in between those. You just would have thought, given who I am, like what I do and what I've been doing, that he would have been a lot more on the side of the like spectrum of like, tell me what to do and I'm going to do it, And so going back to what I was saying earlier about like that tenacity and that like ability to go above and beyond, that's the part where like he would come to me when he'd have a new opportunity and want to talk to me about it. There were times he would ask me questions about something, but then when I would say, hey, here's what I would do. And then I would tell him like, you need to go and look up, XYZ on LinkedIn, right? Like you don't just try to talk to the one person interviewing you. You're going to go, you're going to multi-thread, right? And you're going to build relationship. And then you're going to go do that, right? And I'm telling you all this stuff to do. And then like 2 days later, I'm like, so did you do those things? Oh no. Do you want this job? Right? Like how badly did you want this? Like it's that kind of stuff. I just, even once he started, it's like I could literally give you the biggest head start, and it's like, well, yeah, a little, and I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm mom. What can I do? But I do see that not, I just see that in his generation a lot now. And again, I'm not saying because my son's not lazy. He works hard, like he's doing a great job. But there's this version of like not wanting to go like above and beyond because there's just, I think, so much, again, there's just so much thrown at us now, just do for us. So that's why I focus a lot on using AI to level us up and allow us to go spend the time on the things that we're best like using our brains for, because that, in my opinion, is like the most amazing thing about what AI is
No,
doing.
that's what I love what you and Mandy are doing because a lot like Dextago, it is replacing nothing. It's just enhancing things that you need to do in order to be successful as a seller. Like you said earlier, I don't have time to write an email, but I do have time to look at the 5 emails you wrote, prim and proper them, cross T's, dot I's, and then apply. But then you find that fine line between doing that and like the young generation today, just it's like delegating and abdicating. Like I try to tell sellers all the time, you have to
Yeah.
delegate the task, but when you delegate, you still own the task. You are
Yeah.
responsible for the outcome. So you need to look at the tool that's written something for you. You need to look at the personalization tool. You need to look at the automation tool. You need to make sure that your hands are on everything. What they tend to do is abdicate and then remove the responsibility from them to the tool. Well, I did what you said, the tool did this, it did what you said, and this is what the tool gave me. So I like that you talk the talk and you walk the walk, especially as it applies, I'm sure, as into helping your son of teaching him to fish rather than giving him the answers to absolutely everything.
Yeah. What you got to do as a coach and sales leader too, right? You do things for them. I mean, I remember seeing that a lot. I feel like I see that happen a lot at larger orgs,
Yeah, they just because it's
right?
so easy for things to slip through the cracks, and more often than not, sellers are promoted into sales leadership, and they're great at sales, I won't doubt them that, but they couldn't lead their way out of a paper bag.
Yeah, and I remember seeing, just either the times I was at larger orgs or even when I've like consulted or just hear from people working at them. And it's like I have a group of friends and they're all sales management level. There's a director and a VP above, like there's a lot of levels. And they're doing things for their sellers. They're running calls there. And I was like, that's not going to teach them much, and I understand that it's difficult to let go because you want success for yourself and for them, but, like, it's the same thing, it's like teaching to fish versus just getting the fish and spoon feeding it to them, and I'm just like,
What shocks me is how outdated it is, and I could say it's outdated because I was there when that idea was fresh. Really sorry about these dogs. Because when I started, and because the sale was almost identical with every person that you spoke to, before internet and AI, personalization wasn't really there. You spoke to pain, you spoke to suffering, and the guy who was the most adamant and could push it down your throat the deepest was the guy who won the day.
sure.
So it was easy to coach kids on how to do that. Just watch what I do and do exactly what I do. And if you do exactly what I do, you'll win the day because they're going to give you 10 reasons why they can't do it. I'm going to answer it. Make sure you take notes and repeat everything that you hear. And that works to a certain degree 35 years ago. But the game has changed now. You struck on something earlier that I want to get back to for a minute because I love to give anybody listening or watching some actionable things that they can do besides throw 4 Shih Tzus out the door for barking nonstop. We talked about active listening. What are a couple of tips we can give kids today that set them on the path to learn how to actively listen?
Yeah. Here's one that you can do that is using AI to make this better, okay? Now, back before we had all these note takers, right? You wrote your notes down when you were, like, in a call, and you'd either handwriting them or typing them away now, and while there is actually research that shows that your recall can be stronger when you're writing something down, your actual active listening is often not as strong. So when, before we had AI note takers, we were going to still choose to take notes because we got to remember the stuff that we're going to talk about later and all that. But I was a super early user of Gong back when the product was not good, right? They were just brand new. And I remember thinking like, what am I going to use this for? And as they progressed and then other tools started coming out like that, I finally started to, I don't know if it was one of the CSMs or something where someone just like basically suggested, don't take notes. It's got it. They're like, it's going to record it for you. And this was even before the transcription was really like good or
Yeah,
anything.
yeah,
It
yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
even saying like it'll just give you all your notes. It was just like it's recording it for you. Just sit there and listen. And they're like, do you think it's going to take more time to go back and listen to the key things in there to then get your notes than it is for you to not hear everything, not have an active discussion in your discovery, and then type all the notes up again in your CRM anyway? Like, you're not saving time was basically what they pointed out
Yeah.
by, and I went, all right. So I finally gave it a go. My discovery call was so much better when I wasn't taking notes. I was just listening and then knowing where I needed that conversation to go, where to double down. And then after I listened to the recording, I took the notes that I wanted to take from it into my CRM, et cetera. Now, that was time consuming, but that was an enterprise sale for that one. So like it was worth it. I wasn't
Yeah.
doing deals left and right. Small
But
biz,
how time consuming is it to
but how
say,
time
here are
consuming
my notes, I'm gonna match you in, let's copy and paste. The next time I gotta touch this deal, I have everything here.
So I started really understanding how important it was to just basically like stop trying to write shit down or type it out. Listen. And now we have the most phenomenal tools, right? To listen and transcribe back everything you need to know and even give you some things that you maybe, so that you can sit there and actively listen. So let go of the pen and paper, let go of typing. I promise you. You don't need to do it, but you will improve your ability to do a great sales call. So there's
That's
one.
ingenious because I've always been a believer and I pontificate from the highest mountain. Sales is a series of conversations that drive an outcome. But how can you have a conversation if you're not listening?
Yeah. So, active listening, skill number one, you can literally just stop taking notes. You really don't have to do it, I promise. Two, this is difficult for extroverts. It's not difficult for introverts. Extroverts want to respond as soon as they can when they're listening to somebody. They're listening to what you have to say, but then before you've probably finished your sentence, they're already thinking about what they're going to say back. It's just how they're wired.
Yeah.
It's a way of connecting.
They're
And
listening to talk.
yeah, introverts don't do that really. They are sitting there and they're just absorbing and listening and what have you. So that's why there's a whole bunch of stuff out there where they say how introverts are actually great salespeople. But either way, we've all found ourselves in that moment, really excited about responding to something that we're already thinking. Don't do that. Catch yourself in those moments and don't think about what you want to say back until the person's literally done speaking.
Yeah. I used to tell kids, instead of thinking of the next thing you're going to say, the next demonstrative remark, I want you to think of the next two questions you need to ask to clarify what you just heard.
And that was going to be my third one, which was basically instead of always answering a question too, ask
Ask
clarification,
another
ask
question.
more, right? I had this manager in my first tech job, my first AE tech role. And one thing he was suggesting a lot of times to say was to just go, say more. And at first I was just like, that seems annoying. But obviously I could change the words to sound more like me. It didn't have to say those exact words. But what he kept like coaching a lot of us to do was when someone would say something to us, a prospect in a call, don't just, this is again why I think sometimes people getting too stuck on the med pick stuff can fall into this too. It's like, oh, I got my answer next. Instead of I got an answer, I still want more from you. Just say more about that. Um, you don't have to even worry about asking questions like super intelligently or literally just ask people to tell me more about that. So stop taking your notes, let AI do it for you. You actively listen Do not think about what you want to say next. Wait till they're done talking, let your brain actually catch up, and ask more questions instead of just taking the first answer at face value.
I used to do this with SDRs are like, I want to be an AE. Okay, here's your rite of passage. 5 conversations where you make less than 5 demonstrative remarks over the course of a 30-minute conversation. So first conversation needs to be at least 30 minutes. You can't make any more than 3 or sometimes 5 demonstrative remarks. Everything else needs to be a question.
Mm,
If they were good, I tell them 0 demonstrative remarks, but I'll let them get by with 3 to 5 depending on the conversation. But that's what like big spiffs would be like, okay, who wants next week off?
yeah, I love
5
that.
conversations, you can't do anything but ask a question from first thing out of your mouth to last thing out of your mouth. If you don't ask a question, you don't qualify. But if you can give me 5 calls, 30 minutes where you've done nothing but 5 questions, you've done nothing but ask questions, I'll give you next week off.
Yeah, see, and that's the kind of coaching that it's funny, someone had a post, I think just this morning, kind of talking about this where it's like and a lot about what I was talking about earlier, where we were getting so focused on a lot of outcomes, and you're missing other things that you should be celebrating along the way. And so one of it was like, have I done a really great discovery? Like, did I improve my discovery process? That I should be celebrating that as much or more than did I obtain quota. And my response to that was, you miss the story if you only focus on your attainment numbers. I mean, if you looked at someone's quarterly attainment for 3 quarters in a row, one of those quarters could have been like 120%, and it could have been because they got some whale of a deal, for example.
But if they're doing it consistently, they're doing all the steps consistently.
Right. And then but instead of focusing on to your point, okay, so maybe I should be celebrating more on my more effective discovery calls. But how would you measure that? Well, maybe it would be how many times you actually say something demonstrative versus how many times you were asking questions.
Yeah. When I had some leeway with organizations, I would not share my team's KPIs with them. Your goal is to have conversations that drive value meetings. That's it.
Yep. Yep.
I don't care how many you do. I don't care how often you do them. At the end of the quarter, I'll tell you what the number was. I'll tell you how you did. But you need to be in the right culture, right organization to make that
Yeah.
happen. We've gotten really heavy. We need to have some fun questions now.
Okay.
Okay. Maybe not fun question, but considering that you post constantly on LinkedIn about the do's and don'ts for sellers and sales orgs, what is the one buzzword you wish would disappear forever? And it can't be cold calling is dead because we all know that it is because nobody wants to pick up the phone and actually.
One thing.
You must get a lot of trash in your content because you're like thinking through like 90 things right now.
I am. Okay, here's something that's been annoying lately. This is something I have been countering in how I position even what I do and what the next wave does. Is everyone thinks now that you have to go outbound when your inbound is running out. It's like the same story I hear every time. And I'm like, no, it's not that. It's that you have to build an intentional strategy. There's a difference. And so there's so much focus on outbound. I'm actually going to be in a webinar next month too about what's still working in outbound. And it's like the emphasis on just outbound, which tends to mean prospecting, right? Like cold
Yeah.
prospecting, quote unquote, versus just getting inbound leads. And I'm like, yes, but the key distinction is you could go outbound your eyeballs out and get nothing if you aren't building a complete intentional strategy. And so I think it's not outbound. It's like, people aren't going back to the basics enough of like, who's our ICP? Is it correct? Are we speaking to them? Like, is our unique value proposition actually being expressed in everything that we do, but be it our website, to our social, media ads, to our posts on LinkedIn, to our outbound messaging? Like, no, everyone just goes, oh, I got to hire some SDRs or AI SDRs worse. And hire these people who are just going to do spray and pray because it's still a numbers game. So you're bound to get some things. And I'm just like, well, hold on a second. Like those all, besides the AI SDR thing, you're going to miss me with that every time. But yes, SDRs. Yes, scaling your outbound when you have the other things that need to be ironed out first, which means you have to get intentional. When everyone comes your way in the beginning, especially founders. Oh, founders. The founder effect. You go to your network and you go in initially, right? And people come to you and you think you have product market fit and validation and everything's been great. And then at some point, it will stop. Things will not just come to you anymore. And now you think, well, now it's time to go outbound. I just had a conversation yesterday with someone about it. Oh, well, now we need to go outbound. No, what you need to do is get intentional. There's a difference. And so this emphasis on outbound is killing me because it's the wrong.
I like to use the word intentional because I talk to sellers all the time. I want to get in front of all of these people. Okay. Who are the people you can get in front of right now? Let's look at your network. And there's just no intention around their network. You tell a guy, hey, you should just be connecting with your ICP if you want to be intentional with this motion. And they look at me like I have 9 heads.
Yeah. What I mean too about to your point, it's like it's not just going and connecting with your ICPs either. It's knowing them, it's connecting with them, it's speaking to them, right? In all the ways. So just as an example, my website for my business, the posts that I make, the large portion of people that I focus on actually trying to connect with, the people that I network with, the communities that I'm active in, all of those things all are intentionally done so that my network, the connections I have within LinkedIn, are largely my ICPs. And to this morning, I was with someone, we were talking about content strategy, and they wanted to see all the different roles that I have in my connections. Founder, co-founder, owners. That's the largest majority of who I am connected with. That's not an accident, right? So it was all in everything I'm doing is intentionally for those people so that I can have a business where I don't outbound for my business. Not against it.
But you don't need it when you act with intention.
I'm intentional, right? Anyways, that's my big bugaboo, to be honest, is this whole like emphasis on outbound and it's the wrong solution. You're not solving the root problem. You're just solving a symptom.
So considering that you've cracked that code, you've got people coming into your DMs, you've got people sliding into content, sliding into your calendar. What's your go-to pump-up song? The queen of musical posts. What is her go-to song when she knows she's got a hard pitch coming up? What's the music that gets you moving?
See, I'm going to kind of cheat because I could never just say a song. I don't have a go-to song. I have a lot of playlists. I share them often, right, with you all. And I think it just depends on what I need in that moment, like what kind of playlist it is. Lately, I've been doing my Boss Babes playlist because October, it's Women in Sales Month. I'm on a high from the 100 Powerful Women thing. And I'm like, this is where I'm at, right? This is what I need. But another time, I'm not even kidding, be Tom Petty. Maybe that's what's going to get me going, right? So it really just depends, which is why the Dance Party Fridays are just so important for me.
Yeah, me too. I've come to keep them front and center and dance around like an idiot and hum songs that I don't know the words to. Have people look at me oddly on the weekends at farmers markets while I'm sitting there going through Beyonce. Some kid once grabbed me. He's like, aren't you a little old for Beyonce? I was like, aren't you a little young to be left in a field by himself?
Aren't you a little old to be
Oh,
so
the kid got me good. If I don't shave, I look like Santa's younger, skinnier brother. So I had it coming to me.
rude?
And the kid got me good. He really hurt my feelings. The last question, most important question of all.
Okay.
The Lindsay Rios movie is coming out next year. Can you tell us who is going to be playing the role of Lindsay Rios, greatest saleswoman alive?
This is a tough one because I'm going to cheat and I'm going to use the internet real quick
Okay, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. We got to find it, huh?
because it's very important to me that representation would be the person who's playing
I
me.
have somebody in mind. I'm trying to find their picture to see if we both come up with the same person. If it's diabolical and we come up with the same person.
Feel like
No?
isn't quite going that direction. No.
Come on, look. Your eyes are almost identical. It's like looking in a mirror, isn't it?
It's close, but not
Close.
right. So this is why it's difficult because there are not a lot of mixed Asian women that are well-known actresses. And like I said, representation is important. So there are Some here. I guess I would not because she looks like me as much, but I'd probably go with, like, Maggie Q because she can really kick ass,
Okay.
and that's the thing I would need. Because otherwise, like, when I was in college, there were some people who said I looked a lot like Kristen Crook, who's part Asian, but she's like apple pie and sweetie honey buns, like, vibes, and I
So
look
try not to take this the wrong way because there's no insult intended. I don't know the young girl's name, but I think of the girl from Wednesday.
Jenna Ortega.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
because she's
yeah,
just
like
got that, like, you can mess with me, but I'm also going to remove vital body parts when you're not
yeah,
looking.
see, that's the vibe I need. Unfortunately, I can't think of and that's why I double checked, like, on here, and I'm like, "Yeah, I don't have one on here."
She got that Latina side covered though.
I know, but it's there's just not Asians are always the
Yeah.
nerds or the maybe they do martial arts, but it's like there's not enough of that. So that's why I'm gonna go Maggie Q.
You sure we just remove the pink? I get rid of the glasses because you used to have the pink hair.
Can you believe it? Look at this. How boring is this
I
hair?
know, right?
It's
I
okay. I'm
miss the good old days of you getting attacked simply because you were smart and had an
because I
opinion
a
and
tank top.
happened to have pink hair.
Look at my slutty shoulders right now too. Don't worry. I'm going next week and we'll fix it. There you
Can
go.
I end this with a slutty? Let's see if we can end this with some slutty shoulders. So, if those of you don't know, she is also part of the Slutty Shoulder Club. Is an effing shame has to exist in the first place because people like Lindsay get vilified on LinkedIn, and it's typically by men that are girl dad to 5 girls, women's advocate, and just vilify these women in their comments. So the picture of me with the pink hair was trying to throw some solidarity around the fact that in this day and age, your color, your sex, your age shouldn't
Your
matter
you
one
gotta
squat.
your shoulders showing. I'm still professional. I still really good at
Come
what
on,
I
I got a face made for radio. If I can help people sell, there's no reason why Lindsay can't. And Lindsay, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to join me today, dealing with the orchestra of dogs and having some fun with that. And hope we have you back on soon. This has been an absolute thrill. Thank you so much.
Thank you.